Hey everybody, these are Sean's Rants. And in this rant I want to talk about flanking the dog. So flanking the dog, I'm basically borrowing a military term, right? Most of you, not guys, but just most of you in general have heard the term flanking in a military sense. And flanking is basically going around the army, right? So the army's here pushing forward, they got their main forces, and you're like coming around like this, right? So you avoid the main thrust of where all the power of the, the most dangerous part of the army is, and you come in and you go in and you get the weak spot, and then you can exploit that, cut the army in half and blah, 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 and I will not give you a military history lesson. So it's really kind of the same concept with dog training. And this one just came to me the other day in the shower. So I don't know where or why or what, I don't know if I saw something on YouTube or what, but just the concept of flanking is such a powerful strategic move militarily in order to ensure safety and victory, right, in that sense. But what we're basically doing with dog training is we're kind of doing the same thing. And the concept is, instead of which a lot of dog trainers do, go after the worst, hardest, strongest problem, behavior, issue, whatever it might be, whether it's dog reactivity or dog aggression or resource guarding, they go straight after that stuff typically initially right away. Not everybody, but there are dog trainers out there and there are dog owners out there as well. So what I want to do is kind of clarify that the real trick here for behavior modification stuff is, instead of going head on into the hardest, most arousal, adrenaline, reinforced, tension-based kind of behaviors and trying to attack them head on, let's go around the side. Let's sneak around the side where the dog doesn't even realize that we're sneaking around the side. Let's go after, and you've heard me say this a lot, but we're talking about small moments. Small moments are basically how you flank a dog, right? So you go after the crate exercise. Watch our videos for it. You can link it up and see that. Do the threshold exercise and be really diligent with the threshold exercise that you ask a ton of the dog. Make sure the dog is heeling in a perfect heel next to you, rather than sniffing and pulling and doing, hither and dither and all that stuff. And what happens is, if you go after these little moments of creating impulse control, creating respectful behavior, deferential behavior towards the handler, you start to chip away at this attitude, rather than going after hey, stop biting me, or hey, stop biting a dog, or hey, let's stop the resource guarding, or whatever it might be. You go after all these other little moments where it starts to kind of adjust the brain. It psychologically goes kind of around. The dog doesn't even see it coming, and next thing you know, the dog starts to feel a little more relaxed, a little more chilled out, a little more respectful. He starts waiting. You open the crate door and he's like, is it time to come out? You walk to the threshold. Is it time for me to walk out? He heels next to you and he looks up to you and gives you some nice eye contact when he'd like to go pee to a tree or something like that. But basically the concept is to not go after the big, fiery, explosive, nasty stuff as your main thing. Do foundation work, baseline work. Go after all of the exercises, right? Sit, down, place, recall, heel, thresholds, crate, waiting for food. Go after all those. Get the state of mind in its softer, more pliable, easy, respectful mode. And then any residual stuff you've got left over, then you can go after that stuff as you need to, as you see fit. But the trick here, and I think it's a great parallel or a great analogy, is flank the dog to where he doesn't even know that you're going after the stuff. He doesn't realize that his state of mind is changing because you haven't been combative with him. You haven't been right in his face. And next thing he knows, he's like, how'd I get here? I'm kind of polite. I'm kind of easy. I'm kind of respectful. I'm not resource guarding anymore. How did this happen? It's because you flanked him and you came around, you psychologically flanked him. So it's a concept I really, really, really believe in, and I want to pass that on to everybody and make sure that everybody is conscious about not going out after the hardest stuff, go after all the small little moments, knock those out of the park, and then those big crazy moments will tend to get easier and easier and easier and easier, and then you can address whatever's left over in a much simpler, easier, safer context and approach.